Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.
Okay. Deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. One more deep breath in and out. So according to the World Health Organization, 350 million people in the world are depressed. That's 5% of the population. So 3 of the most detrimental impacts of depression are 3, disconnection from self, which results in loss of confidence. So I'm going to give you an example. Myra, stay-at-home mom, depressed for years, even on medication throughout this time. And she lived in her head. She was confused, she was in doubt, always second-guessing herself. So after just 3 weeks in my program, she began speaking out. She began expressing her opinions. Within her family, with her friends, she began sharing new ideas, and the second-guessing was greatly reduced. Even her husband and her friends commented on how she was showing up differently when they met. Number 2, disconnection from family, friends, and community, resulting in loneliness. I'd like to share another example of Mary. Now, Mary is a nurse. She's overwhelmed. She's overworked, over-responsible, and for her as well, in and out of bouts of depression. She criticized her fiancé constantly. She avoided her friends and family, and she dreaded going to work. And her world became really small and dim. And after just a few mentoring sessions with me, she began to brighten up and lighten up and open up to her fiancé, to her family, and even her relationship with her patients was shifting and changing drastically. So her relationships became more mutually respectful and understanding, and she gained the time within just a few short weeks of spending time with her friends who she wasn't allowing any time for before. Number 1, disconnection from purpose, which results in loss of time, productivity, and money. So here's an example of Mo, and Mo is an engineer. And he struggled with a sense of purpose and focus for several years, and then he got laid off, and the shit hit the fan. He lost all motivation. He couldn't make himself go and look for work. He couldn't get off the couch, and he felt ashamed and unworthy. He was draining his savings, and he incurred a lot of debt to support his family. He was the sole breadwinner. So within 2 months of applying the tools that he learned from my program, his fog lifted. So he started spending every day, all day, downtown, making calls, being visible. In the beginning, he said there was a little tree, and he said, I found myself hiding behind it. And after a week of being down there and recognized, like, okay, I'm okay, he started coming out from behind the tree and being even more visible. So he began networking. He began talking to people. And within 2 months, he got consulting work, and he increased his consulting work within a month, so 3 months total, up to 90% of full-time work. Deep breath in. And out. So today this is about power of pen to paper for purpose, peace, and prosperity. So putting pen to paper truly saved my life. I was depressed. addicted. I myself was stuck in overwhelm. My world was very small. I retreated from my own personal relationships and my work. I was disconnected truly from everyone in my life. I spent my days pretending that I had a business and cycling through Netflix, Google, and taking class upon class upon class for that one that I was sure was going to skyrocket me to success. And that didn't happen. Then in a very particularly dark and tumultuous time, there was a series of 3 events that led to, I'll call it a rebirth. The death of my sister, which kind of locked me up. In less than a year, the death of my brother, which kind of cracked the veneer. And then finally, the suicide of my brother-in-law, which tumbled everything out in the open. I could not hide. I couldn't put it back in. I couldn't unsee what I saw, what was coming out of me. But I still didn't know exactly what to do with it. So within a couple of weeks, I had already been scheduled for yet another class. It was in Vancouver. I went. I rented a room from a little woman, a little flower shop owner in Vancouver, and she shared something with me in just a general conversation, and something zinged. And I ended up, from that zing, that very simple word, and it was about commitment. I committed to 40 days of self-inquiry, and everything changed. I put pen to paper and asked the hard questions that I was truly avoiding, and everything changed in my life. I broke through a multitude of limiting belief systems, and I came out of hiding. I re-engaged with my family, with my community, and that's when I began to see that I am not alone. It's rampant. What I went through is rampant. So through my own personal experience and all my many years of teachings, learnings, I'm a rapid learner, I created a sacred serving system, a step-by-step process designed to help you locate not the little you that wants to spend your days safe in the familiarity of doubt and fear and victimhood, but the you of magnitude. So the you who has a deep knowing of who you are, of your creative greatness that you sense is there, but maybe you can't see how to get there. A significant factor and tool in all of this system is putting pen to paper through self and also guided inquiry. Deep breath in and out. So I want to thank YL for having me here today to speak about this. My intention is to inspire you to be curious about yourself, to commit to getting to know yourself on an intimate level. Let's call it getting naked, to shine the light on what's not working for you and what's behind it, so you can unlearn and unwind from there, from what got you there, and create a better and happier way of living. So by the end of today, you're going to know 3 things. Number 3, the 3 phases of transformation. Number 2, the bridges between each phase of transformation. And you will also learn a tool that you will practice today and take home to support you in your own quest for a greater purpose, peace, and prosperity in your life. So write this down. Step 1 of the 3 phases of transformation: awareness. Transformation begins here. This is the aha stage. So my client, Joanne, was overwhelmed and stuck and didn't know how I could help her, but really felt that it was going to be a game changer for her. And she claimed that within the first session of working with me, she was able to get clear on what was truly important to her and immediately applied the tools, pen to paper, that I taught her, and change began. So So when she became aware of what was truly important, only then could she make choices and take action. Step 2, write this down. Understanding. This is the stage of figuring things out. It's like a trial and error. So when Alex joined my program, she was very frustrated with her relationship, both to herself and with others. She already had a journaling practice in place, however, was not gaining any understanding about why. She was using it more as a dumping ground. I gave her some purposeful pen to paper practices, which I call daily energy management, and that is what she said was key to her success in personal accountability and conflict resolution. And she said this gave her more peaceful relations in all of her life. And it didn't all happen in one day. It took just a few minutes a day, however, to step her way through the phases of transformation. Step number 3, write this down, knowing. So this is the state of peace around the original thoughts or issue. This is where you come to a place of responding rather than reacting. So Luann came to me with a long-held belief system, which in her words had her locked in its prison. So now this lady has an arsenal of tools, and she has been a student of spiritual practices for more than 30 years. So she too was already putting pen to paper. However, she was doing it all on her own. So I offered her a different perspective along with a different exercise and encouraged her to continue to seek and find all that lay underneath her current struggle with pen to paper. So through her work, she came to know intimately the issues at hand, and she said her whole world shifted. She said her spiritual practice deepened, that the patterns of behavior disappeared, and she felt free. Do any of these relate or resonate with you? Deep breath in and out. So the 3 phases of transformation are awareness, awareness, understanding, and knowing. And the bridge between each of these is pen to paper inquiry, an application of the choices and actions that come from the inquiry. So I'd like to lead you through a little exercise. You already all have pen and paper. This is one of the tools that my clients use to take them through the 3 phases. It's very simple. It's called a self-assessment.
It's called what?
A self-assessment. Please do write this down. So the self-assessment tells you really what things are working for you and allows you to see the truth from a wide-angle lens. So number 1, write this down. I'm taking a step back. I want you to consider something that you did within the last, let's say, 3 days that you are going to be doing again in some form. Maybe it was a conversation. Maybe it was a presentation. Maybe it was a sales conversation. Maybe it was a family dinner. And with that, I want you to consider something that didn't quite work out exactly as you would have liked it to. There was something about it that could have been better. Something maybe that you haven't considered yet. Does everyone have something in mind? If you need to go back a week or 2, you can do that. Does everyone have something in mind? Put your hand up. All right. So, considering that, and for time's sake, we'll just use bullet points. I want you to write down what worked. Number one of the self-assessment is what worked. Fifteen more seconds. You can continue to complete this after the presentation in your own time, but I want you to write down number 2. What didn't work? More seconds. And again, you can continue to flesh this out later. Number 3, write this down. What will I do differently next time? I'll give you a minute. So again, you can continue to flesh that out later. From what you wrote down of what you can do differently, I'd like you to choose one next action step that you can take. There might be a multitude of things that you would do differently. I recommend 1 to 3, but if 1 is a significant change, then you might want to just stick with 1. I'll just give you a moment to narrow in on that. So that's the one next inspired action. So this technique can be used incrementally, really to improve the next outcome of anything. Your day, a presentation, your tough conversation. I'm going to do one later today on my presentation here. And yeah. So the transformation to higher purpose, peace, and prosperity is absolutely possible for you. And I invite you to ignite that today by saying yes to you with a clarity session with me, which is free. It's 1 hour of focused on you time to, number 1, have clarity on what's not working for you and what you're losing because of it, what you want, and what you would gain by achieving it. Along with that, your next best step. That time with me is a value of about $150, and the value of the clarity is truly invaluable. It's the difference between being stuck where you are and a best next step, a movement. So if you sign up today, I will throw in a 15-minute guided meditation on attracting abundance and prosperity. which is a value of $100. So that is a $250 value. That's where I stopped. I don't have any proactively overcome the objections. I didn't do any of that.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's amazing. Do you remember her first presentation?
She wasn't there.
Do you guys
Yeah.
remember when she was getting
Right.
when she got emotion? How do you rate yourself first? Like, how do you feel when you have this sequence in this one?
It felt good until the end in doing the offer and the money and
Because
the
it's not
value.
your, it's not your thing. It's not your thing. We have
No.
to train each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone wants to give?
Can I sit down so I can take notes?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah? Okay. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I thought your story was very powerful. I don't know. Everything about it was good. I'm just wondering about the order. Because right after your story, I was ready to buy. But then we went down a bunch of stuff, and then your offer came when I lost the emotion of that story. That I'm just struggling with that. I don't know how. I don't have an answer to that. But the feeling of the process. So
I agree with you. When she said her story, I was expected for her to say, if you wanna get the first step, sign up right now. I will give you the whatever one hour. I was just ready there mentally to accept an invitation for the second journey.
That's what I felt. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very powerful story.
Yeah.
Very.
And then really at the end you kind of messed it all up, because at the end you give free $250 value for free, so you were worth nothing, then I'm not interested.
No,
Because if you don't value
away from this
yourself-
first. Away from this first.
Right.
We'll talk about the offer. But away from this one first. Let's just start to express our feelings. Then we can attack her later. Okay, guys? Just to make sure.
Well, no, this is good.
No, no, just
Sorry,
say-
But that was the
perfect.
bang.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I just want to can I just bring this to, just so you know, because that was something that we had talked about, because you all came here for free. So I did this presentation at an event that was free to the people that I invited. So I made it the Clarity Call free because you said, how can you up-level something that's free? You don't. You offer something else for free. Mind you, at some point you do have to. Yeah. So did that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Based on that?
It makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
I thought that your presentation was very organic. By that I mean, it didn't feel like you read your presentation. You had your notes and you were focused on, really you came from the heart. I felt that
Yeah.
deeply. And just a small comment at the end, I would remove the word if you join up
If
or
you say,
sign up
Oh,
now.
right,
Just
okay.
take that word out of your vocabulary
are you reading my notes?
and you say, sign up now, and don't give them a choice of if or not.
Okay.
But I thought that what you brought was very, had a lot of substance. The awareness, which is lacking. This is really a weak point with every industry and every individual. The awareness is a good approach to understanding. We don't know anything until we understand it. So, in my mind, what you're offering me is that you understand life in a big way. And I can use that. I can improve my own life as a result of that. So you sold me. Yeah.
I saw deeper clarity around, questions I have on just the loneliness, the retracting from social environments. I see it all the time. I just don't really know what the cause is. So you did a really good job educating me on it, and so I had a deeper understanding, and in some things it kind of I was able to identify some of my own behaviors with maybe some of the stories that you presented at the start.
You got me?
So I really like the stories that you started off with, and you know, some of the end I felt was a lot of process, and somewhere I felt a real disconnect with you. You know, I didn't feel that you overcame some of these issues. I didn't see the happiness.
When you have this feeling, which area, which part of the?
I'm not sure. I felt it. You know, I felt the pain, but I didn't feel somewhere that you have that level of happiness,
The release of the pain.
that release of the pain that would draw me to you so that I would get some happiness. If I had that pain, I could feel the pain, but I couldn't feel like, now you are the one who can bring me that happiness because I don't see it in you.
Sorry, is this in my personal story or in all of the stories I
Through
shared?
everything, that you know your
Okay.
demeanor somewhere, and I can't really put a finger on it, you know, where it was, but I just, and also the, you know, that you said, you know, to breathe, you know, to take a breath, somewhere got me back, you know, I don't know, that didn't fit in for me. And one thing that sort of pushed my buttons was that now I want you to write this down. So then it's about you and not about me, you know. So, you know, more of an invitation or, you know, in a different way saying, now let's write this down or something like that. So, and I don't know if that is my training at Psyche because we always work with people and it's not about me, it's about my client. So, you know, that's one thing. But, you know, somewhere I would want to see you happy, you know, smiling.
Excited.
Right.
And
Yeah.
also,
I was too
you know,
stressed for
when
that,
you
but-
look, at me,
Yes.
see me, you know, not just glance over the room, but make a connection, like I can look in your eyes, you know, like that, you know, somewhere that you saw me as an audience, as somebody who you might want to work with, you know, like really be there, be present.
Yes.
So,
I get that. Thank you.
You want guys
Just
to
to
go?
back up on what
Mariana.
Mariana said, is maybe all it needs is for that happy face to show up is one sentence of what worked for you. Just one sentence.
Like an aha moment that kind of says.
Yeah, your
And
aha moment.
because I did this, or I started putting pen to paper and having all these revelations, you know, all of a sudden you're building up to revelations and stuff like that, and you go, this is what resulted. So it'd be like a climax and go, yeah, and you get excited because that was your transition point or your moment where the clarity was fully developed.
Because I felt you had the solutions. That's what you came up with in the end. Write this down. What worked, what didn't work, and what are you going to do next? So you definitely have the the solutions to becoming happier and understanding yourself more deeply. Just have to emphasize that happened for you after your sad story. That would be a good spot to do that.
I don't know. Be committed to awareness. Is that what you're committed to? Awareness, understanding, and
Knowing.
knowing.
Any more rounds you want to talk about this?
When you did the steps, start with 3.
Didn't I? What did I do?
You said step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah.
In which steps?
You
On the last.
You did
And
one.
the awareness. The awareness, you said, write this down, step 1. No, you write down step 3 first. So I know there's a conclusion.
Right.
Because I don't know if it's going to end at
I
7
think
or
I wrote
50.
it like that.
Well,
I didn't say
I'm
it
not
like
from
that
Wisconsin.
because that doesn't make sense.
I'm
so
Yeah.
there's
challenge that a bit because depending on the kind of thing, there are 3 steps involved in this. There's and these are in certain order of priority.
Yeah.
Right,
So you
so-
wrap it up with the
Okay, well
last
then,
step.
then she should start that. She should
Yeah.
start with that. There are 3 steps.
No, she did.
I didn't catch that.
I heard the 3 steps.
Oh, I missed
I
all
heard
of
there are
that.
3 steps. Yeah. Okay. And I heard the 3 steps, and I always kind of.
And your first story,
Mm-hmm.
I think I got the whole incorrect tone of what you were talking about. The one lady, I think she retracted from herself, and through your program, she came out and she started giving her opinions all over the place. And it sounded like, holy crap, all of a sudden she became a mouthpiece and she's going around pissing everybody off.
Okay.
That's the whole thing I got out of it. All of a sudden, you got her talking and just speaking her mind.
What I got out of that was she stepped into her power and was able to express things that she repressed before.
Okay.
Is what I got out
So
of it.
the,
Interesting.
I'm highlighting it. So
Emphasize that
I'm
she was a
highlighting it.
mouse before.
Yeah, and highlighting it the way all of a sudden his perspective elevates her out of her darkness. Whereas the way you said it's like all of a sudden she became this mouthpiece that was pissing people off.
Right, okay.
Right? Just, hey, I'm going to tell you just like how it is.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a
So-
interesting
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Just
So
clarify.
just to be aware of the time now, I don't think there's any other forum in town or anywhere where people can stand here and people can give critique.
Or
Mind,
evaluation.
they have mindless information to you. I had to stop Cami because I don't want you to feel offended for what she say. But each one of Cami or Shamir or everybody of these people are mindless, compliant with giving you feedback. They didn't care about you'll be sad or whatever. They just didn't feel.
I did.
They just dumped their ideas. This is I am proud,
I was actually looking for
and this is what I'm proud of this
Okay.
forum. So I'm very proud of this forum. This
There
forum.
was no guilt in what we said.
No, nobody.
No, I am thrilled.
And I want to just,
Thank you so much.
I want to just put it into.
Well, if we,
You know,
I want to put it in a
Yeah.
micro level. I want to put it in micro level. I believe having consensus and people follow up on the three breaths at the very beginning, 3 inhale, 3 exhale, it's a brilliant hook. Something out of its own kind.
Except for when she started, I didn't know it was for us. I thought she was trying to just get inside and, feel her own space before she started.
Okay.
And that's where had you prefaced it with me before we begin.
So-
Let's do this. Right?
Yeah. So you may want to lead with,
say something.
say, you know what?
And when
To
you
let's just start, and I would share with you. Can you take will be a good.
can I
Go ahead.
invite them to participate or ask for their permission?
Yes.
Can
I kind of liked it, even if half the audience catches on that they're going to do this themselves, it's slowly going, people are going to think, why, is she doing that for herself? She doing it for me? It's a great hook.
I thought so.
I think it's a great
I
hook.
love this hook. Like it is a very good practice.
Yeah. Just
To
do it.
come in and do it.
Then,
However, when you start to give it again, you put my mind back. You reset my mind at the beginning. So when you came in when you conclude before the title and said have a one breeze, it's okay. But the third one was too much. It sets me back. This may be why you lost
Yeah.
the flow. Maybe that's why, because you had to.
Yeah, because
This is called pattern of interrupt. We call this pattern of interrupt. You have to interrupt your audience every 10 to 15 minutes because they're spam. They will be their divided attention will go somewhere else. So you have to interrupt it. Raise your hand, stand, sit, wherever. So breathing and getting into it's a pattern of interrupt. So you have to be careful. But the one I want to set first is you said 300 million, 5% of the population. You never map it to me. I don't care about 5% of 5% is nothing, okay? It's GST. It's GST. So can you have a statistic and say 305% and they showed numbers where in North America is actually much more larger than 5%. Or like this 300 is a good number,
Okay,
but can you add to it something to relate it to me?
right.
This is one of my feedback. The second one, do you agree guys? The second one is when you talked about the three, like before Myla and Mary, you did not explain it. You slapped our face with the information nuggets,
Yes.
but you did not explain it. Can you have 2-3 sentences explaining what does it mean?
Explaining what does what mean.
When you started, you said, when you start here, what did you say?
Oh, an example.
Before the example,
Mm-hmm.
you should explain what is this about.
Oh.
So what?
Saying 3 of the most detrimental impacts of depression are. Did I say number 3?
Number 3, what?
Did I say the number?
Yeah, you said number 3.
Yes,
Okay.
you did.
So I needed.
What
to
did you
give
say after number
more
3?
Disconnection from self.
Okay, disconnection from themselves. Then you said, let's give you an example. You should, on disconnection from themselves, you should give an examples why it's dangerous what's happening there. Like people could disconnect from themselves, so they don't find reasons. That you should give like because. And just before I get, I'll get you. Before I will get you, I want to share with you.
Forget.
I want to share with you. You can write it. I want to share with you something about how because is very important to use
Okay.
the word because. So they did a study and they get somebody will go stand in line to make a copy of 5 pages in a copy center in a school. So he will go and say, would you allow me to rush in because I have only 5 pages to make because I'm in a hurry. I have to catch up the class. They found 94% of the time people will allow him to make 5 copies. When they come and say, I have 5 pages, can I just allow me to just get in line in front of you so I can make a copy? 60% will allow him. When he says, I have 5 pages, I want to make a copy because I want to make a copy, 93% they allowed him in. So what's the difference between because I am in a hurry and because I want to make a copy? What's the difference? It's a huge difference. There is no urgency in the second one. But because was the key. So any of these information nuggets, you must explain it, disconnect from themselves. Like what? Like what? Like don't understand what they do, waste time because of or whatever, you know. The story came too fast.
I
Oh,
get
it's
that.
positioning, huh?
Yeah, yes.
Can I say that now
Yeah.
so that I won't forget it? Because it might be important to her. Could be, maybe not. It will be. The points, okay, the points. Can she do them as a question and say, this connection from time would result in loss of fact. Did you know
This is not her style, Cami.
this? Oh,
She's a hard dominant.
yeah.
She get trouble with the question. When Mike, you weren't here. When Mike stand here and says a question, she got frustrated.
Do you
She mirrors.
feel?
She mirrors exactly how she acts, how she is. So when Mike standed here, no,
No, I don't think so.
I love is not questions. You can give when Mike stand here and give the questions. I loved you being here because you told him I'm overwhelmed. So her people. Actually, it comes back to my last part because I don't believe writing inside it will serve you.
Writing, sorry?
What?
So I wanna answer your I wanna comment on what you said, but I wanna just jump first to something.
Try to put it on her, that make this her.
So when you came and asked us to put pen and paper and write,
Yeah.
I believe this is not the right forum for that. Number one, usually the best setting is theater seatings. So people will not write on their laps. They don't have writing. My good friend Mike here, he always tell you he is not slow, but he need to process and then he will just flush. So he would not be able to process what he wants him to do in the 30 seconds or 1 minute. So he felt overwhelmed, so even he dropped his pen. Mariana got disconnected because she didn't like to write. Even guys on the left hand side who are left-minded, like Shamir and the process, they felt disconnected. So you may want to have to evaluate. If you ask them to write, not only that, you said you do 3 things. Number 1, and you continue when you don't have time. Number 2, whatever you said was good, but you continue after the workshop. And then it leads you to number 3. If I did not finish 1 and 2, how will I conclude to 3? It doesn't make logic to me. Doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
So if you want to really do this, I would encourage doing the following. Let me show you how the system will work on Shamir, for example, or on Mo, or on Mariana, or on Jim, on Mike Smith. How many people called Michael Smith?
So then we'll go through this.
And say
then
Mike
we'll do
Smith. Mike Smith did 3 things. And last 3 days, he went to the family dinner. He really liked 1 to 3. He didn't like 1 to 3. And this is what he writes when he likes. This is what he writes when he likes. And then what he found is changing from 1 to 2. So you give me the experience, without challenging my ability to sit and write. You will be in front of people coming from the farm around. I'm not sure. For me, Okotoks is about farming. Okay, I'm sorry. But you're coming from small communities like Black Diamond, Okotoks, these areas. These are small communities. They are not used to write a lot. If you stand in the university or a college or a school, the students are all the time writing. That's right. So if you force people who are coming from these communities to come one more step out of their comfort zone and write, you are 100% losing them. Does this make sense?
Perfect sense.
I just have a question.
So you got to know your audience.
You lost me in the self-assessment. You told me to write it down and we started
I couldn't
talking.
even think.
And I had no idea what situation you
See,
were
I had
in.
no problem doing it.
Me
Think.
neither. Me neither.
Yeah, so the only comment I would have is that I couldn't think of what went right. But when you said what went wrong, stuff, and then from there I said, oh, there is something that went right. Then I went back to write what went right. So it was the first one I was struggling with, which is what I noticed, is that I couldn't figure out what went right because I was always in my dark side, which is another, obviously, what went wrong, boom, no problem. And then I went to what went right and what should I do different? Okay, got it. So my question was, she obviously needs to put something that people experience as value, right? A sample. What could you do up there that's alternative to?
Is to pick up a hypothetical example
Yeah,
What's the
'cause
example?
or a common example. Like if I'm in front of massage therapist, I will say Gina the massage therapy or Gina the nutrition over massage therapy over acupuncture. She went, she did. If I'm in front of farmers, I say Bob the farmer, he had the dairy farm. He did 1, 2, 3 wrong. William or Bill the accountant, when he went in, you take them through the 3 steps. So having a journey of somebody like me may make a huge level of engagement. You
So in
still
other
tell
words-
them, the values. You still take them through the steps. However, if you are in a half a day presentation, you may give more instructions and allow them more time, and you step them with examples how to extract. So I like the exercise, like don't get me wrong. It will not fit. Like I foresee you where I met you first time, repeating this to the similar audience. It will not work in this room. Remember when we met? So this is how I visualize you. If you stand in this exact room, which nobody here seen it, nobody was there. So if you stand in this exact room and you ask people to write, they don't even have writing pads. It will not work. Majority of them will not write. So that's why I'm saying, like, you may want to do, the example is very powerful. Few more things, but one more important one is you did not ask for our permission to write. It may be a complete different shift if you come and say, would you accept or you allow me to run you through the exercise? Pick up your pen and yes or yes, or will you allow me? And you just wait for us to say yes. And sometimes you say, oh, I don't hear you guys, can you say it louder? Yes, all what you do is trying to get consensus, which you did in I love the hook, I love the breathing, because it gives a huge consensus that you are the commanding on the ship, everybody is following. It gives very powerful entry. You still have it. You did it today. However, you did not ask for consensus or acceptance, or are we open? Do we agree? Do you want to do this? All way except one time. And we have the recording, so you can go back. I believe this is all what I can share with you in public. Okay, and I love the if I share the if you don't so you don't rush people, you don't ask them to do activities which can take them away from the comfort zone. And believe me, what we talked about today is what we call it today is mindless compliance, right? So what we had today here, we are mindless compliance. And you want to engage my mind in your presentation. It doesn't work.
Okay.
So if you want to be mindlessly complying to what you say, you cannot stand in the presentation and say, I would like you guys to use your mind. Because I'm supposed to be mindless compliant to you. So if I have a mind, okay, I have to position it for you in this way to always remember. You don't ask them to engage their
Emotions and thoughts,
you engage their emotions,
but not their thoughts.
not their minds, not their souls. Not you engage their unconscious triggers, avoiding calling for their cautious, because if they think, they may remember they have a kid out there, they want to go bumper, so they don't want to be with you, okay? So, I don't know.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Are you receiving that as being manipulative?
No, I understand how it can trigger you into something. It would for me, and it might take me a bit to get back in to
Right,
it.
so you
So
wanna
I
be
understand
connected.
that because I can totally get into exercises like that. Like I just fall into it and I'm there. So that's the danger of falling in and not
Because you have to
having
assume,
connection to what's
you
going
have to
on.
assume that your ignorant audience are linear. Not everybody like us who can do like multiple things. Like for me to focus on when I do work,
Mhm.
I will turn on the TV and I will turn on the music.
Yeah.
You know, and then I will be able to focus and the 2-3 things in time. But it's not about my focus. Is basically I'm a multitask. I work like this. I can do 3-4 things. Like I'll be with somebody on the phone and working on my presentations and maybe cooking something as well. And then people will just hear me going different. Oh, why your phone is not working? Where are you now? No, just I'm doing my 3-4 things, and my other half, if she has 2 things on the stove, both of them will be burned. Okay, so you have to remember people are linear. If you take them away from your heart connection by doing an exercise, it cannot be in 20 minutes. It can be maybe in 90 minutes. It can be in a half a day. So the exercise is powerful. You may want to have a printed sheet for them so they can fill it. You may want to lead with questionnaires. What went good? What did you feel good about it? And give them enough time to do it. So this can work for like 90 minutes, half a day. But in 20-minute presentations, for me, avoid exercises. Take it with these instructions, apply it 6 times, and see the results. And they come back and tell us it works or not doesn't work. Because this is the value for us, is to know from your experience. Yes, ma'am?
And one thing what I'm saying is that I understand that a lot of things will take you out of your comfort zone, right? But that's the whole thing about being able to mold to your audience, right?
Mhm.
And your audience runs off your energy,
Mhm.
right? So it's not about going against who you are. It's about you expanding and you being able to mold with the audience and you being able to get yourself, on command in and out of states, right?
Yeah.
Like emotional states and things like that. So you need to be like really emotional for right now and then you go back.
Yeah.
Right? And you're being you and then you're really emotional about this and back. And that's how you get the audience. They're like gonna be with you. You're gonna let them do their exercise. So now we're gonna do the exercise. So now you are detaching, right? So now I'm attaching again, and you see now we're going to detach.
So, and this
You
is
know
will
what I'm
lead to the
saying?
same. This will lead to the same
I know
input.
you're playing, so
Yeah.
you need to play it your own way, like your own character. Put your own character in this. Yet, one time or another, you're gonna have to do it. It's a have to.
So let's just convene. This will lead to the same thing. Like if they didn't feel you are happy, you may, if you don't have the paper in your hand. Oh, you didn't read from the paper. I can tell. Like you can make eye contact. You may want to just have a higher energy on the outcome. This might be a sign. Okay. Anybody else wants to have a practice today? This is only one who made the homework. Okay.
We're working on something else, so.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in talking about like, and this goes back to, you know, the processors and the relationship and the time. Okay, so everyone might have a specific thing. What about consideration of my ideal clients?
Your ideal client, most likely, they are not process, and you're trying to get them to put pen to paper to create process. So if I just take your answer, and I don't want to go over time. You already have 15 minutes on this particular presentation, which we can go because nobody else is ready to do anything else. So they are enemy of themselves, right? Anyway,
I think
okay.
you just got into
Who are your ideal customers? Your ideal customers are feelers. Feelers who don't who lack the process. Because if I have the process, write things down. I already wrote it. I love the fact you have the journaling and you have an example of journaling, but the journaling was not effective because they don't write the journaling in the right process. So if you want to come and say, you are my ideal target customers, and you are now here in front of me, and I know you lack process of writing, and I'm forcing it on you in 20 minutes, you are losing them.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
I can keep going on this particular question because very good. Like 80% of your customers, 60% or 70% will be hard feelings people who don't like to write things, who don't like rules.
But who's your target?
You know? So if the rules are not there, when I show the example of different people, how they benefit from the system, I am showing the process people. I'm fulfilling the curiosity and of people. So I say, okay, here is how it works. So if you are a process, a little bit of process, you understand the process. You will feel good about this individual, which is the same. After the end, you must say, can you relate? Do you accept? Do you agree? You did not have acceptance request for anyone during the whole presentation, which is okay because
It's the resonating thing.
there is another thing. So you at level 5, you have to ask for affirmation and confirmation. So when you are still building here, you may not have it. If you go to level 2, you add more storage. If you go to level 5, you can have to inject more. Do you agree? Do you like it? Do you accept it? How was your experience? Which is, so you are okay. You did not miss anything because you still have a little build up to do here. That's right, in your own presentation.
Yes.
So you're still not ready to go to these levels, although you incorporated them, which is good. You are ahead of yourself as well. So. Any more questions?
I have a question. Because there was comments that you were with me after my story, but then I went into the testimonials, which is like level 2, right? And they were lost. I lost them again.
I believe they are lost because you had the breathing again. The breathing again. And I believe they are totally lost because the writing. Like I can tell you, I wanted not to write notes about what you said at the very beginning. I want to hear you. Like I was sitting here, my job is to take notes. I was so engaged with you to the level that I didn't want to write notes. Like I forgot a couple of things I wanted to comment on because I want to come with you. When you said the exercise, I was completely lost. So you have to evaluate, and the only way to evaluate that is to find venues. Maybe you go back in when they have the same event in Okotoks, or go to another ones and explain. Say, okay, you know what, D, I'm building up my presentation, and I need not to only educate people, but I want to also collect. So would you allow me to go 2 or 3 more times at no extra charge? Because they are looking for speakers all the time. If you say you will be helping me, putting my best self, the best of me in a presentation, and this will help my business. Because I need to have forum. This will help my business.
Right.
I believe they will allow you to come again. They don't have hard rules, because I was in situations where they use people because they don't have enough speakers. And you may want to have to come to Calgary event, or you go to Sylvan Lake events, or build different communities. But you work also on the phone all the time, so Sylvan Lake for you is not far. We want to do one for Edmonton. I don't know. One time we go to this group in Edmonton.
So I didn't catch the testimonials. I keep on thinking, what were they? And it just doesn't come to mind.
Okay, so
But-
maybe that was a loss after the breath.
Yeah, and it was coming out of your story. What I would probably see is take instead of the self-assessment, talk about, let's look at 3 things that we do in a self-assessment. 1, 2, and what worked, what didn't work, and what will I do next time. And then relate those testimonials as 3 examples. Here's a tradesperson. Here's a lady that's an administrative assistant or an executive, right? So pick 3 roles which might be common to your audience.
She actually did.
And that's what I did, but it obviously was missed.
No, she did it. I heard it. I heard
an
it.
engineer.
Oh, okay.
I heard
Yeah,
this.
I heard it. I heard the guy downtown. I love the story about the tree and hiding behind the tree.
That was good.
This was an
I
awesome.
heard, but that was at the
I-
beginning, though. That was right after the hook.
That was
she
the
told the
information.
stories.
Part of the information
That
nuggets.
was-
Yeah,
I did
but-
nuggets, yes.
Yeah, but now we want to talk about a testimonial. That
She
people
said
that
it.
she's walked through.
I did that too.
She
but
said it, but it
obviously-
went for.
I was so lost trying to become part of the self-assessment that I didn't know. Like, I guess part of the confusion for me was that I wasn't clear on the situation you wanted me to grab. And then you said, okay, let's take a situation and what worked, what didn't work. And then you said, okay, take one that happened a week ago. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to, or maybe it's going to happen in the future. And then all of a sudden I'm going, well, which is you want, past or future? And then I didn't know what to focus on. You were
Right.
just going through the stuff and it was like 10 down.
He's doing it back to you, by the way. Okay. He's handing it back to you because when he stand here and they ask question, you said, "I'm off." He's now handing.
Yeah,
So-
no,
He's
it's
now
perfect.
firing.
It's
This is not a
I
firing
want
back.
to
This
take
is
pause so I can finish writing all my
yeah.
notes.
So write your notes. Finish write your notes.
Thank you. Okay.
Because people around the room are different human being. You can hear this resonating with different people in a different way.
Yes.
What I want to say here is avoid complex activities because people will not like if you tell them stand and hug the one next to each other and then come, how do you feel now being in the room? People will say, yeah, we love it because they are feelers. If you go to school, tell them write, they will love it. They write every day in the university and schools. Your audience, they don't write, they hate writing, they hate rules. So it's also one extra example I want to give you. How many financial advisor we know and we attend their presentations?
Oh yeah.
And the job of financial advisor is to take care of my investment portfolio. And amazingly, they stand there and they put all of this complex forum and say, here is how the market was doing, and this is the company we invested, and this is our criteria. And I said, not. These people are supposed to be overwhelmed of doing this themselves, and your job is to doing it. Why you explain it to them? Why you give them like one presentation was a guy who went out of business, changed his business again, and he had like more than 80 lines on the slide. 80 lines. Very small thing. Oh, we apologize. They are so small, but this is the portfolio of the companies in our. This is the performance of our portfolio, and this all the companies, and it was like 80 line, 80. I counted them because it was just very small, and he apologized. Why do you show it to people? And then, moreover, he puts these arrows, and then the lines will expand. It's just very complicated. People in the room supposed to do what? To trust you. That you make the right decision. If I know how to make decisions, I will not need you. But they totally lost it. They want to teach people, but they want to, I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
I believe about the breath that will set you unique. That'll make you me unique, right? Me as in me unique, because you don't want to be me too. Me special, you want to be me unique, right? So maybe perhaps the breath will take you to be you unique, yet it needs to be used with a purpose, not with, so I don't know how that would, I'm just putting it out there.
Right. And do I say the purpose of it?
No, not necessarily.
there is-
Yet you could even say now we're moving into this. So the purpose could be, Okay, we're moving to the next step, right? So now let's take a deep breath, and we're moving into the next step. You can even say that, right? So have that as your.
Right.
So you have the breathing.
That's actually not the purpose.
Yeah,
but
but-
the purpose is actually a physical thing.
But around
That
this
when
table,
breathe, it
we
has
have a breathing.
integration.
Around this table, we have a breathing expert. He sells breathing techniques. So our expert should respond.
Oh.
Yeah, this individual
Well,
just.
But do you know
But
what
I
I
would
mean?
never
Do you
invite
agree with
him
that?
to,
Like for
'cause
her
then
to
that's
use
making
that.
him the expert instead of me.
No, his program is about just how you exhale, inhale. That's it.
It's hard. It's one.
No, just exhale, inhale. Yeah, I can do it every day.
But to use that to her advantage.
I'm a breathing expert.
But to use that to her, what I'm thinking is to use that to set her apart from anybody else that teaches the same thing, right? And also to do it with a purpose. But the purpose not to disconnect from us, but to actually connect
Well-
us and move us into the next, whatever, into the
No.
next.
The one thing
Thing
that you
or-
could just adjust in the breathing, a lot of people when they breathe, they don't take the deep breaths like you and I do. You know, singers, actors will do that, they'll go through that. People like me have learned how to breathe deeply. And to engage the heart for the feelers, it's just a place awareness in the area of the heart, take slow, deep breaths and visualize them flowing in and out of your heart. That will keep them engaged in the heart rather than in here. Okay, so it's just a shift on that. I didn't think that breathing was a distraction, but then again, I do that, as part of my routine for everything that I do. So I'm not the right barometer for that. But generally speaking, of the clients that I've had not know how to breathe, when you say breathe, they'll go shallow breathing. They'll breathe from here, they'll stay here. So just that shift may help flow.
You know why we only breathe?
Yeah.
You know why we only breathe through our mouth only? Because when you inhale shisha, you don't want it to come to your chest because you don't want to have problems. So
That's where you addicted people.
Yeah. You addicted.
okay.
No, that's true. With the cigarette smokers, they're so used to breathing only shallow.
Yeah, because if they get to their chest, they will cough.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know this or not.
Yes, I do. I used to smoke.
Yeah, but you know why they are not used to inhale, exhale deeply because. Anyway, so it's we are about 7 minutes behind time now. So, is there anything else we did not discuss today that you want to bring to the table? Because it's
I
about.
think she deserves a round of applause.
Absolutely.
And I want to say thank you to all of you for all of your great feedback because that was really so helpful.
You see,
Like,
it's
that
very
was
normal for
valuable.
her as a feeler. When you give her a round of applause,
I had to give it
she'll give back. It's if I give her a candy, she'll give you back. It's very when people just be in the natural status, they feel secure in an environment. They act by their default, as the book says. So immediately when you say a round of applause, she went in because she wants to be more giver than you guys.
Well,
That's it. It's a.
Can you guys help me to do something with her? Are you guys gonna be
Sorry?
with me? Can you guys help me?
It's just we need to close, but just hold on. We just-
When we closing?
yeah. After we close. So one we want to do is there anything we did not bring to the table here today? Is there anything, Marianne? Do you have? Any,
Well, yeah, I don't know. It might take too much time.
I will be with you after this because we're supposed
Well,
to.
we gotta work together.
yeah,
So
yeah. Anything? Anybody for the group wants to bring something, or did you learn new things today?
Of course.
Okay. So remember, the most important part is you have to work over these muddy barriers. Okay? So thank you for coming. Next Monday we have the schedule will change because I'm on stage on May 7th, so we have nothing on Monday, May 7th. I will shift the schedule to today, and I will send everyone an email with the new schedule. Okay?
Well, the schedule, would it not have been skipping next week?
If it will skip next week, it will be 3 weeks. So I may want to.
Oh.
I have to fix.
Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.